Okay, so this is like a basic update. Um, this is going to be shown in both classes. This is not an academic type update. I will do a separate video for that, so those who don't want to know don't have to waste your time. That makes sense, right? Okay, so I was on board with everything, disappeared, got back on track, disappeared, got back on track, blah, blah, blah. So I figured you guys are owed an explanation of sorts. So you can understand a little more of what's been going on. um, so to tell you this, I have to go back in time. Woo! All right. That was those little wavy lines that happen. Um, so in June of this year, I was exposed to some fun little things, to put it mildly, and to make it as less horrible as I can. Um, I found myself helping somebody retrieve stuff from an apartment that somebody who used to be a good friend of mine a long time ago had been reported. Well, neighbors did a wellness check and she was not well and had expired about a month previous. And it turned out it was also a hoarding situation. And I've never comprehended how that happens. And I've watched hoarders before, and I'm like, oh my gosh, oh yeah, yeah, that's real. And I got to see that. And while trying to help retrieve items from this apartment, like the personal effects that you're supposed to make sure you have, like license, social security card, that kind of thing. I stepped through a puddle that used to be a friend, got all kinds of bites on my legs from something because I came right after work and had been wearing a skirt, and started having lung issues the very next day. That's why I sound the way I do and why you hear me constantly randomly coughing. So I've had bronchitis since, I believe, yeah, the date was June 9th when this happened. I went to the doctor on June 10th and have not been able to get better since then. And this has been a long running thing. Anyway, fast forward. That brings me to the trying all the different medical things, my lungs getting worse instead of better. I already had asthma, so apparently this made it worse. And yes, I was wearing a mask. Um, but standing outside, it was still coming out and it was just that bad while in there. And so apparently you just need a little extra push sometimes to get things going wrong. Okay, so maybe a month after that. Um, no, I think 2 months after that. Yeah, because I want to say it was in August that we found it. Anyway, I was trying to heal my lungs. They weren't healing. I'm super busy, and that's probably part of it. I have way too many jobs, but with the way things go, you know. Anyway, um, we discovered we had mold in our dining room, and we reported it immediately. Like as soon as we saw it, we reported it. The insurance said we already had it, they're not going to cover it. We had roof guy come out and say that there was this massive hole in our roof, that they were thinking one of the storms, a tree branch must have punched it, which is what caused the water to get into the house to cause the mold. Um, while we were fighting with the insurance company, the mold continued to grow. And basically, it was a fight with the insurance company for over 2 months before we finally got an agreement, but they still refused to take care of the mold, but they finally agreed to take care of the roof. The roofing guys were great. They had already put up a tarp and they were doing what they could. They have come in as of, I think, 2 weeks ago and ripped out sections of our ceiling and treated it and got rid of the mold and had an air purifier running for a week. And my house smells so much better. But in the meantime, I'm still asthmatic and fighting the bronchitis thing. I put, because I'm also a biology teacher, I got these agar plates and I put them around my house to test what mold spores were in my house and discovered that obviously the dining room had the worst. And a high percentage of the mold spores were penicillium, which is common, which is not a big deal for a lot of people. I, however, am allergic to penicillin. So that's been part of my doing great, doing worse, doing great, doing worse, doing great, doing worse, is because I can't flip and breathe. Um, so the mold is now out of my house. Yay. But I still have gaping holes. And because we then had the storms come through, they still haven't been able to fix my roof. Next, or this coming Thursday, because when this video posts, I'm making this on Thursday, so it's next week. The roofers are going to come and finally fix the entire roof. And then hopefully the next week they'll fix the ceiling. So then I won't have these gaping holes in my ceiling, and that should help. Now, in the meantime, on top of the mold issue, for my health aspects, because that's really all I'm covering here. Well, and a friend's health aspects. On top of that, because of the not being able to clear my lungs, the doctor then sent me to a pulmonologist. The pulmonologist, that's a lung doctor, he's completely baffled, can't figure out what's going on. I had to do a breathing test, which is very interesting. If no one's ever done it and you want to know, I took pictures of the machine. It's like this huge capsule thing you sit inside. And according to the breathing machine, my lungs are great, but they can hear all the problems. He's like, I can hear it in your lungs. But according to these things, they're good. And so he wanted me to get a CT scan of my lungs. Also, been dealing with bad knees, bad joints, and been going back and forth. Finally got an MRI of one of my knees because both knees are crap. I've been told this for ages. We tried the physical therapy, which made them worse. Then they tried to do the cortisone shot into one joint, and that was right before Labor Day weekend, and it went badly. And I couldn't use my knee, and I had to use an arm crutch. And it took like what, about 3 weeks to a month for that to finally wear off to make my knee back to the original bad and not the amplified bad. At which point they decided to do an MRI. So last week I had the MRI and then I had the CT scan on my lungs. This week, today, I'm going back to I haven't even told you, going to a rheumatologist because I have an inflammatory thing. They started to think that maybe that's part of what the issue is and why my lungs aren't getting any better. And that could also be connected to the joints. So I had to go to a new rheumatologist a couple of weeks ago and get a whole bunch of testing there. That rheumatologist also wanted me to get the CT scan on my lungs because it's possible that I have some kind of autoimmune disease that is causing the damage to the lungs. So I go to the rheumatologist today to get the results, hopefully, for the CT scan, which I already looked. I read the results on my app, the Heathflow and whatever, those various health apps where you can read everything. So I read all that. And some of it I found amusing. At least I saw that it didn't say that there were any obvious tumors. So yay. But it does show some issues. So I'm hoping today to hear about that. But it's highly possible that as of today, I might be told I have an official diagnosis, which I'm like this on because I'd rather not have one, but having an answer so we can actually fight it and I can get better would be really nice. So that's today. And then tomorrow I go back to the orthopedic to get the results for the MRI for the knee. So I have no idea what's going on. Considering this is a government course, both of you, and presumably you all live in the US, you know that we're having major issues with our health insurance. And so that's added a chunk onto it. So I'm trying to get everything done as quickly as possible because I'm not 100% sure what kind of insurance I'm going to have moving forward. And I don't make much money. And so I rely on the Affordable Health Care Act. I have relied on the Affordable Health Care Act for quite some time. And I legit could only go to the health department or to an emergency room and use indigent care for quite some years because I made so little money as a teacher. Um, and so this Affordable Health Care Act is extremely important to me for selfish reasons, as well as I honestly 100% believe humans deserve health care. That's it. Humans deserve food. Humans deserve health care. I really am bothered by the fact that we keep having to choose between things. And that's not okay. And that's not really indicative of a successful nation, if you ask me. But throw the politics aside. So, I am going through all of these medical things, which is why sometimes I get behind. And I am 100% caught up now, and I'm trying my hardest to stay caught up. I have been putting notes throughout the weeks and through the various lessons, tidbits, whatnot, and I'm hoping you have been paying attention to these. Um, anyway, the whole things are going nuts. I thought you should know that. So that is my personal end. Come to the other side. So I have this friend of mine, one of my best friends. His name's Jake. And we've known each other since New Year's Eve of 91, as in the last day of 1991 is when I met him. And he was actually in the delivery room when I had my first child, part of my Lamaze team and everything. So that tells you how long we've been friends. Um, when he was 20, he had a brain tumor and had to have that. Actually, I think he was 19. I was 21 and he's younger than me. So anyway, um, actually, I think maybe I was 23. It doesn't matter. I just know it was before his 21st birthday. He had a brain tumor and had to have it removed. Um, and then in 2015, he had another tumor in his lower back. And over the summer, he had some major issues, and his whole right side started to lose feeling and was like drooping and stuff like that. And then he had a very aggressive tumor on his spine at the base of his neck. And so that was pressing up against the nerve cord, which was what was making the whole side go numb. And he is now in medical books, and they're doing studies on all of his stuff because that tumor, which they took out, it was July, I think, 23rd of this year, because his birthday was July 26th, and he was stuck in the hospital recovering from surgery. Um, I am his medical proxy, so I have to be there for his surgeries because he has been in a very abusive relationship for a very long time, and he is now in the process of trying to get out of said relationship. And that's a whole other story. But they're doing studies on him because this tumor that was on the base of his spine is an extremely rare heart muscle tumor. So there is no reason for a heart tumor to have been on his spine. So that raised a lot of red flags. They have since done genetic counseling and found out that he has this very rare genetic disorder where he is predisposed to these types of tumors. And so he will have to get MRIs every 6 months for the rest of his life so they can grab them before they get bad. Meanwhile, he still has another little tumor at the base of his spine in his lower back, and he's going to have that taken out. They have also found that his left ankle is all kinds of jacked and it needs surgery. And a couple of weeks ago, he was told he has stage 1 colon cancer. So November 19th is that surgery. So I will be there for that one. And it's just like, it's one of those things where you wish the universe would give somebody a break because he's trying. And while this has been going on, my mother, who is 82, um, she's having a lot of health issues. So at the same time, Jake was having his tumor surgery, that exact day, my mom let me know she was going to the ER. I was in South Carolina for Jake. My mom's here in the Atlanta area. So she had a whole bunch of different medical issues. She's got some more that are coming up. And so next Thursday, um, is when I will, ironically, the same day they're finally fixing my roof, I will be taking my mom to the hospital for yet another angiogram, this time on her left leg, to see if they can clear up the issues. She also has major blockage in her carotid artery and still unsure what they can do for that because they've both already been operated on in the past. So if this was my biology class and or a nutrition or a health class, I would be talking to you about the importance of limiting those saturated fats because that's what it leads to when you get older are all these clogs. Um, so you've got my health issues, my mom's, and my friend Jake. And I never know where any of this is going to go. For me, I'm pretty I'm pretty confident I can just plow through just about anything. The fact that I've had bronchitis for what, June, July, August, September, October, like 5 months, and I'm still going along. I just cough a lot sometimes, and I do these crazy little wheeze noises on occasion. Like it's so funny. Sometimes I'll inhale and it squeaks, which I know is bad, but it amuses me. I'm sure I'm going to be fine. I can't, with good conscience, say that about Jake and my mom. And so I just wanted you to know why things have gone nuts. Way back at the beginning, I did the reason and excuse. So I'm letting you know a lot of what's happened over this term with me has been both. I have now given you all the reasons. Excuse, yeah, I honestly 100% should have been more on top of getting everything graded faster. I purposely balanced the two courses so I could do it. And then I promptly got overwhelmed and just kind of started to shut down. And I made sure that your classes were set up, but I was not providing quality feedback fast enough. And I do apologize for that. There is no valid excuse for that. I should have been more on top. I let this class slide because I was overwhelmed. And it happens. And there is no valid reason for me not to have been grading on time. So I spent all of Tuesday getting everything caught up. I am 100% caught up, and it is my 100% intention to not get behind again because there is no proper reason for that. If I am behind in grading, anything I say is just an excuse. Um, I need to make it a priority. And so I would like to apologize for not making you a priority and not being as in your face and doing as many as videos as intended. And I am hoping you can forgive me for letting the ball drop, and I'm trying not to let it happen again. So there you go. That's all the personal stuff. The other videos are going to be all just content based. So, yeah, that's it. And I hope everybody else is doing well, and peace out.